We're counting down the top 40 superstars who stepped into the ring more times than anyone else. From legends of the past to modern-day icons, find out who truly dedicated their life to the squared circle. Let's get to the list. At 40, the world's strongest man, Mark Henry, with 1,387 matches. At 39, the Macho Man, Randy Savage, with 1,388 matches. At 38, the King of Hearts, Owen Hart, with 1,391 matches. At 37, the Swiss Superman, Cesaro, with 1,421 matches. At 36, the first Triple Crown champion, Pedro Morales, with 1,436 matches. At 35, the charismatic enigma, Jeff Hardy, with 1,437 matches. At 34, one half of the Usos, Jimmy Uso, with over 1,476 matches. At 33, the master of the 619, Rey Mysterio, with over 1,482 matches. At 32, the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith, with 1,490 matches. At 31, the rapping superstar, R-Truth, with over 1,498 matches. At 30, the one, Billy Gunn, with 1,509 matches. At 29, main event Jey Uso, with over 1,512 matches. At 28, the living legend Bruno Sammartino, with 1,547 matches. At 27, Captain Charisma, Christian, with 1,553 matches. At 26, the Chief, Jai Strongbow, with 1,562 matches. At 25, the visionary, Seth Rollins, with over 1,564 matches. At 24, the Queen of Hearts, Natalya, with over 1,570 matches. At 23, the rated R superstar, Edge, with 1,619 matches. At 22, the bizarre one, Goldust, with 1,639 matches. At 21, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, with over 1,652 matches. At 20, the Hammer, Greg Valentine, with 1,666 matches. At 19, Y2J, Chris Jericho, with 1,676 matches. At 18, Version 1, Matt Hardy, with 1,762 matches. At 17, the Baron, Michael Cyclona, with 1,805 matches. At 16, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, with 1,805 matches. At 15, the unpredictable Johnny Rhodes, with 1,906 matches. At 14, the Celtic Warrior, Sheamus, with over 1,909 matches. At 13, El Matador, Tito Santana, with 1,912 matches. At 12, the Game, Triple H, with 1,915 matches. At 11, Special Delivery, SD Jones, with 1,943 matches. At 10, the Tag Team Specialist, Tony Garea, with 1,953 matches. At 9, the Show-Off, Dolph Ziggler, with 2,019 matches. At 8, the A-Lister, The Miz, with over 2,085 matches. At 7, the dreadlocked Dynamo, Kofi Kingston, with over 2,189 matches. At 6, the Excellence of Execution, Bret Hart, with 2,212 matches. At 5, the world's largest athlete, Big Show, with 2,222 matches. At 4, the Deadman, The Undertaker, with 2,228 matches. At 3, the face that runs the place, John Cena, with 2,240 matches. At 2, the Viper, Randy Orton, with over 2,401 matches. And at 1, the Big Red Machine, Kane, with an incredible 2,824 matches. These are who truly dedicated their life to the squared circle. Were you surprised by anyone on this list? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this countdown, Please smash that like button and subscribe for more wrestling stats and history. Thanks for watching.